pilots. Um, Thank you, Sarah. And so I would like to first give a couple of rules before we go ahead with the presentation about how this is going to go. So as you have just seen, this webinar is recorded and it will be used for internal documentation shared with registered participants and as well as for dissemination activities. If you do not wish to appear on the recording, please feel free to keep your camera off. And of course, please feel free to post your questions in the chat. And we will, of course, make sure to answer them as we go. And we will also offer some time for Q&A after the presentations. So just as an idea of what we're doing today for this agenda, we are going to, again, present what the LDT4SSC project is about, with a welcome from our coordinator, Carl Philip Koenengracht, and then give you an idea of what this call is about. And afterwards, we are very happy to welcome the newly launched pilot for the first call today from the project on Mediterranean Urban Network for Interconnected Cities, integrating platforms and analytics for local digital twins, to give you an idea of what the project is about, and also to be an inspiring example also if you are planning to apply to the first work strand especially. After this, we will go through the application requirements for this call, how to prepare a proposal so that you have some good ideas about how to do this, and where you can find support. After this, we will do a bit of Q&A and answer any questions you may have. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Carl Philip Koenengracht to give a very good introduction on the project itself. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. My name is Carl Philip Koenengracht, indeed, not easy to pronounce, so don't worry about that. I'm the head of the coordination team for this project on behalf of the Global City Network, Open and Agile Smart Cities and Communities. So on this slide, you can see the composition of the consortium. We are a group of partners from different strands of society. As you can see, there are partners from the research world, partners also from the public sector, and more networking partners that have joined forces to drive this project. Next slide, please. So just taking a step back and looking at the facts and figures of this project. As Laura already said, local digital twins for smart and sustainable communities. That is what the acronym actually stands for. It stems from a Digital Europe program call of 2024. So this is not a simple grant. It is actually a grant for financial support, meaning that the consortium that you saw on the previous slide is responsible to set up the whole system for financial support to third parties in order to reach the objectives of this call. The main objective is to consolidate the existing results and to move towards an ecosystem of mature local digital twin-based infrastructures and services across the EU to help cities and communities achieve economies of scale to access and deploy data platforms and LDT-based services. Loosely translated, and especially the first part, what are the existing results? This will become more clear on the next slides. But this is not a project that stands on itself. It is actually building upon results of previous Digital Europe program projects, and is actually trying to consolidate what has been done so far in that field to create a network, an ecosystem that actually works further on those results focused on local digital twins. Generally speaking, there are three groups of objectives in this project, and they are also translated into the three work strands that will also be presented. First of all, connecting data platforms and local digital twins from cities that already have an LDT in place. So that means that you have to start from infrastructure that is already there, use cases that are already there, and actually create a federation, federate those infrastructures at the local level in order to create an European federation of local digital twins. The second objective taps into Workstrand 2 or is translated into Workstrand 2. This is to develop open source pilots of LDT services, new services based on new use cases. And for this one, you don't have to have an LDT already in place, but there has to be something. For instance, a local data platform or a data lake that is in use already at the local and regional level. The idea here is to build new local digital twins on top of what already exists in at least two different local and regional authority contexts. The third objective, and this is Workstrand 3, is to complement the EU Local Digital Twin Toolbox with additional complex AI-based and innovative services. Again, here, loosely translated, this means that an additional layer will be built on top of the federation of the local digital twins with AI-based services, immersive technologies, and emerging technologies. So in Workstrand 3, we are looking for newer technologies that can be developed on top of existing local digital twins. The EU LDT Toolbox is a very important reference project here as well. And in a couple of weeks' time, the result of this toolbox will be launched also in Valencia. It contains 11 different tools, open source tools that has been developed through a tender also financed by the Digital Europe program that will enable local and regional authorities of all sizes and digital maturity levels to develop and build their own local digital twin. So this toolbox is actually a catch-all for the tools and the pilots that also will be developed in this project at the technical level. In terms of budget, this is a 20 million euro budget in grants. 3 million euros goes to the consortium itself to support the launch of the open calls and to follow up on the objectives. 17 million euros is provided as grants for pilots. So this means that the total budget for pilots is actually 34 million euros. Because this is Digital Europe, you also have to provide 50% co-funding yourself. Next slide, please. So as I said already, this project is part of a whole ecosystem of projects. Starting in 2021, when the Digital Europe program was launched, projects have been started up related to creating the platform and the initiative that brings together local and regional authorities in the European Union on the topic of digital transformation, and also connect them to companies and research organizations that can support them in advancing their digital transformation. This is Living in EU. A second line is DS4SSCC, and this acronym stands for the Data Space for Smart and Sustainable Cities and Communities. It is one of the common European data spaces that actually implements the Data Governance Act of the European Union. This data space is developed under the topic of the Green Deal. And in the first phase, a blueprint was created for this data space. And in the second phase, we are deploying this data space by funding, just as it happens here in this project. Funding is made available for pilots to implement this blueprint and to validate this blueprint. There are other projects that are building further on this data space, among which is LDT4SSC. So one of the existing results that you are required to use is the blueprint of this data space in order to develop your local digital twin or to federate the local digital twin or create new services. As I already said, the LDT Toolbox is another important resource. So these tools will also be available from next month on to be used in the development of your local digital twins, and they are open source, so they will be open to use. Next to that, and this part is mainly related also to work strand 3, the new AI-based services and immersive technologies. There are also 4 experimental Cityverse projects. Those Cityverse projects are defining what the Cityverse is at the European level and are developing XR, AR, VR-based virtual worlds on top of local digital twins, and those resources can also be used in the development of your pilots. And on the right-hand side, you see the LDT Cityverse ADIC. This is a new European supported instrument. It is being set up in the framework of so-called multi-country projects. The LDT Cityverse ADIC is a legal entity. It is based in Valencia. It is supported by, I think, 16 different European member states at the national level, together with a growing group of cities, and they will actually exploit the results of all the projects that I just mentioned, also on a permanent basis, replicate the solutions, and also scale the solutions that are developed, including the LDT toolbox, but also the ecosystem of LDTs that comes out of LDT4SSC. There's more, of course. You also see the different European regulations, the AI Act, the Data Act, the Data Governance Act, the Interoperable Europe Act, and all the projects that are implementing those acts. You have to take them into account when setting up your pilots. But the projects that I just mentioned are the most important ones to actually use. And I'll leave it here for now.
Great. Thank you so much for having placed this project in the context of the EU Smart Communities ecosystem. It is a lot of information, we understand, but of course, yeah, we will walk you through, let's say, the LDT4SSC work strands now in a bit, and to give you an idea of yeah, why you should apply and what are the objectives of this call. So I know that some of you have already participated in some of our previous info sessions, therefore you may be familiar with some of this information already. But I also see that some of you who are here already for the first time are very, yeah, this could be also a very good opportunity for you. So basically, to kind of reiterate what Carl Philipp just said in terms of the objectives of this third call, the idea behind these 3 different work strands is to unify the data ecosystem so that it is able to unite and enhance decision making through shared capabilities across different cities, to connect public authorities so that they can share data, models, and services in order to enhance and build skills and capacity to make sure that all pilot members, including also the companies that are offering those technical solutions, can ensure better interconnection and better maturity of the components and documentations. This also, of course, ensures co-financing for pilots that like to advance digital twin integration and capabilities. And lastly, to innovate the replicability and transferability of the different assets that are produced as a result of the project so that they can therefore be used by other cities and regions across the EU. So again, just to reiterate these 3 work strands, the first work strands entails the technical connection of existing local digital twins, that are already in place. The second work strand entails the creation of local digital twins based on common needs. So these can be developed, the local digital twin can be developed throughout the project itself in order to address a shared common challenge across at least two different cities. And the third work strand is to additionally add advanced AI capabilities to the LDT toolbox, as Carl Philip mentioned earlier. So why, for example, should you apply to work strand one? This is, of course, aimed at applicants who already have an existing local digital twin in place that is already well and matured and developed. In order to, you can basically use it to connect and uplift your local digital twin with more data and services by harmonizing it with other LDTs across the European communities. Additionally, you can unlock dedicated scaling finance. So to really bring your LDT to the next level by accessing targeted funding that support this kind of access to new capabilities and collaboration with other European partners. Additionally, you can access more data and services from across the EU to gain additional institutional capabilities that may be more difficult and more time-consuming to develop by yourselves. And lastly, to increase digital security by sharing this intelligence and adopt unified protocols to protect the city's infrastructure. So this is really aimed for those consortia that already would like to work with an existing and well-developed local digital twin in place. Why should you, for example, apply to the second work strand, which is really about developing new local digital twins? Here, it is more targeted at consortia who may already have some infrastructure for a local digital twin, but it is not quite there yet. And therefore, this is an opportunity to develop it further. So both by creating new local digital twins or build upon an existing infrastructure. This basically also means that you can use the documented successes of other cities to make sure that you're building on this knowledge and adopt only the most efficient deployment strategies. Also by basically tapping into the European LDT toolbox to access these open source components in order to basically, have access to these open sources. And lastly, to also build upon long-term strategic alliances with other private sector innovators, as well as other public authority cities, public city authorities in order to sustain this growth. So if you are in the process of building an existing or a new local digital twin and need to develop it further, this work strand is for you. When it comes to the third work strand, this is really if you want to get to really advance on these AI-driven services. So implementing advanced prescriptive, predictive, and diagnostic AI that can transform data in actionable insights. If you want to build on this particular, specialize in this particular field, and this is for you. Additionally, to use these kinds of visualizations and immersive participatory tools to make complex data also accessible to citizens as well as decision makers. This is really a strand where you can advance analytical capabilities into LDTs and collaborate as well together with other partners in the consortia and integrate these kinds of AI tools to build a more rounded urban digital ecosystem. So this is a bit of an overview of why you can apply to either one of these work strands of this third call. And before I go into the specificities of the requirements, I would like to introduce Essen Kuhn to basically present to us the recently launched pilot from Workstrand 1, which has just launched on the 15th of May, to give an overview and an example of an application that has been very successful in the scope of Workstrand 1, so already developed local digital twins. Therefore, I would like to welcome Essen to take the stage now.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you, and good morning, everyone. Yes, today I will represent municipal project, which is funded under the first open call and work Strand 1. And today, the project just started last week, so it's pretty new. But we have a good consortium. Maybe we can show it in the next slide. Yes, maybe I can also introduce myself. Yes, my name is Esen Kunt. I'm representing UBTech, and we are the lead organization in this consortium. It's the Athens-based technology SME. Yes, the main, yeah, maybe we can start with the consortium. Yes, thank you. And UBTech is the, as I said, that it's the pilot lead, and with the role of data space technical operator, integrator, and intermediary between the data and services. We had 2 cities involved in this pilot, which are creating the core of the municipal exactly, and they are the data owners and sometimes data procurers. One of them is the Murcia city from Spain, and another one is Nicosia city from Cyprus. Another partner which is handle the model service provision in energy and mobility sectors is AI Energy. And they are from Denmark. For the security and compliance assurance, Odin will include their experience and expertise. And we also have research partners from Technical University of Denmark and University of Cyprus. They will provide the KPI framework definition and the validation of our federated data space and services. Next slide, please. Yes, first of all, we identified the key challenges which are dependent on the needs of the both municipalities, and they already have the local digital twins which are in place. But they had the challenge of the limited interoperability between different local digital twins across cities, and fragmentation and duplication of the digital solutions is another key challenge. And of course, the reusable or city agnostic services to create and develop these kind of services are very important. And also we have the challenge of the insufficient cross-sector integration, particularly across energy, mobility, and public operations data. And finally, the key challenge is the low maturity and scalability of the local digital twin ecosystem at the European level. So we address these key challenges. Next slide, please. Our consortium, municipal consortium, had common ambitions, and we will try to achieve these ambitions. The first one is very important. It's the going beyond the siloed digital solutions and toward a more integrated, more cross-sector centered decision-making system. We also want to enable the reuse and validation of the shared city-agnostic services in a federated environment. And we also want to accelerate progress toward sustainability, energy transition, and smart city objectives. And finally, we want to maintain a local control and governance over data and services in a federated environment. Next slide, please. Yes, our project, Municipal, which is directly aligned with the LDT4SSC, works Strand 1 requirements and the main objectives. We will interconnect LDTs which are in place in Murcia and Nicosia cities. So it will be a federation of the existing local digital twins. We will create a data space-driven interoperability, which will be a secured, governed data and services will be exchanged through a data space architecture. We have 2 cross-sectoral use cases. Energy, mobility, and urban services will be integrated in our municipal project. we use LDT services through the cross-city validation, adaptation, and we will reuse the analytics and decision support services across 2 cities. And we also aim to align our services and data results with the EU LDT Toolbox, which will be a contribution to a standardized data ingestion, analytics, and visualization at the end of the project or during the one. And of course, cross-border data and service reuse is very basic, which is one of the fundamentals of our municipal. So we hope we will manage in the implementation. Next slide, please. This is mainly our municipal approach. We will design and implement a federated cross-sector LDT ecosystem, and we will achieve data sharing through common European data spaces and simple protocols, and we will hopefully manage interoperable architecture. We will implement it, and which will ensure the sovereignty and scalability of the data and services across 2 cities. Next slide, please. We had 2 use cases. We have 2 use cases, and in the first one, we will interconnect 2 local digital twins from Murcia and Nicosia. Murcia already has Mi Murcia Seus platform. It's a citizen mobility operational workflows. It includes it. And in Nicosia, by the Nicosia municipality, will provide the AI and LDT analytics. In the first use case, Murcia will be the data provider, while Nicosia is the data consumer and providing the validation environment. It will be a federated environment through a simple middleware, secure gateways, and it will handle the data flow and LDT sharing. We will integrate mobility, transport, IoT data, energy and EV charging indicators, e-mobility, and municipal data. And we will create database services such as AI-based LDT analytics, optimization, and decision support and scenario analysis. So on the right-hand side, you see the depict of our architecture. It's based on the federation, and the primary users will be municipal mobility teams, operators who are handling the daily operations and the infrastructure rollout, and of course the sustainability or energy planners in the cities will be the primary users. Next slide, please. The second use case, we will interconnect 2 complementary platforms, but in this use case it's a little bit different because in this use case we address the limitations of one of the cities, like in Mi Murcia local digital twin. It lacks of energy mobility integration depth in citizen and mobility workflows. So in Nicosia will provide advanced IoT operations and sensor-driven municipal services, including the public lighting and energy analytics. So in this use case, Murcia will be the service procurer, and it will provide the operational environment through their local digital twin, and Nicosia, and with the contribution of University of Cyprus, they will provide the services and they will provide the municipal environment. So in this use case, we will integrate traffic data and public lighting city energy data, and we will deliver AI-based forecasting, recommendation, and lighting optimization services. The primary users will be Murcia operators in Murcia city mainly. But of course, all the consortium partners will be integrated into the architecture, delivering, and all the technical aspects. They will handle it. Next slide, please. We envision some impact. We will try to achieve this impact during and after the municipal. The first one is faster and more efficient service delivery, for sure. And with our use cases, we will achieve cross-city value creation, and we will, of course, measure our success or impact through the KPIs. So we will have some measurable progress to show, and of course in the long term we expect some socio-economical and environmental impact in our municipal project. And next slide, please. And these are the expected outputs: interconnection blueprint, open and shared data models, reusable interoperability components, cross-city shared service demonstrators, and finally, governance and sustainability package. This was my last slide. Thank you very much. And yeah, Dr. Magda Foti is the lead researcher. She couldn't join today, but if you have any questions, you can email us. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very, very much, Esin, for presenting a very concrete example of your successful application and launch of the project. Of course, if you would like to also be contacted for questions, feel free to also leave your email in the chat. And if you'd like, we can also include that in the slides, but it's obviously it's up to you. Yeah, if you have any questions for Esin or for Magda, please feel free to also put them in the chat as well. Or if you have any questions at the moment, perhaps we can take one or two before going on to the application requirements.
Yeah, I have one question here. Can I? Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Thanks for the presentation. I was curious, like how the onboarding is happening here, because what I understand is one acts as a provider and one acts as a consumer here, right? And then the data sharing happens. But what is the onboarding process? How does it look like?
Thank you for your question. And yeah, for the onboarding, could you please clarify it a little bit? Maybe to explain it better.
For example, the data space is the ecosystem, right? Here, like how do we validate it's me in the onboarding process? Like, how do you define any user ID and password? For example, when we log into Gmail, we have our user ID, or on Facebook, right? We have our own user ID, which we virtually present ourselves. In data space, how do they present? It's like the municipality A or municipality B. How do they get any unique identification number, or how does that happen? Yeah.
Yes, thank you for the clarification. As I said, that we just started last week. But of course we have some plans for the onboarding. So we will enable a controlled access. So it will not be a direct data transfer. So cities will keep their own data sovereignty. So we will use IAM system for the authentication and authorization. So it will be a federated identity-based and policy-informed protocol, like OAuth2 or OIDC, something like that. And for the interoperability, we will use some standards like NGSI LD as the core standard, and DCAT for the catalogs, and JSON LD and RDF. So we will create a mapping layer, and so we will also have secure connectors. The data will be transferred via secure gateways. Basically, we aim to create a full federated system, connecting everything and protecting cities' governance and their data sovereignty. And of course, on top of it, we will have AI-based services, which will transfer cross-city data into more actionable insights. I hope I could answer your question.
Yes, thank you. Thanks.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much for your question. I think we probably will have to go on to the next part of the presentation. So thanks again, Sen, for presenting. And if you have any more questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I would like to, sorry, Sarah, did you want to say something?
Yeah, there was another question in the chat. So I just wanted to read it because it's as well for this presentation. So maybe we can briefly.
Yeah, very, very briefly, yes, go ahead.
So it says, I have a question for Esen about the Murcia Nicosia project. Is the project lead applicant one of the cities?
Yes, thank you for the question. No, we, as UBTech, we are a technology company based in Greece, and we lead the pilot project, municipal project. However, as I said in the beginning, the project started from the existing local digital twins of both cities, Murcia and Nicosia, and we also in the proposal stage and also in the implementation, we will follow the existing needs of them. So we addressed their needs in the use cases, and therefore, the lead partner is a SME in our municipal case.
Thank you for your question. Otherwise, I will probably have to go through the next part of this presentation. And of course, feel free to just leave them in the chat. We can also address them later. So now that we have heard a little bit about this project, I will go through the application requirements in a very high-level manner, as there is quite a few. So to give you a bit of an idea of how to expect the approach to go. So the call 3 is open for all 3 work strands to, of course, local, regional, and national public administrations, European digital infrastructure consortia. Of course, we prioritize consortia that are formed of at least 2 cities from 2 different countries, together with at least one of the following: NGOs, nonprofits, and civil society organizations, business tech developers and suppliers, of course, and research institutions and academia. So this is the basic composition of the consortium as per the requirements across all the 3 work strands. As we have seen, the call has just opened now, and it will close on the 13th of July at midnight. The notification of awarded pilots will take place on the 1st of October, with the intention to kick off and start on the 1st of December 2026. How does the funding and structure work? So as we've already mentioned at the beginning, the total funding for this project is available as 17 million euros to be distributed across 15 to 20 selected consortia. Since we are now in call 3, the specific funding distribution across the 3 work strands amounts to at least 2.1 million for work strand 1, 5.8 million for work strand 2, and 2.9 million for work strand 3. This means that upon when the pilots will be scored, the ones that have the highest score based on a certain amount of criteria will be given priority, of course, and then so on and so forth, working in a cascade funding sort of system. So the co-funding model means that 50% of the eligible costs will be covered by the grant coming from the LDT4SSC project, and the other 50% has to be covered by the applicants. So this means that the total budget, half of this will be awarded by the grant itself, and the other half has to be put in by the consortium itself. So when it comes to maximum grant award per third parties, 500,000 euros is the maximum per, let's say, organization that applies across the pilots. The maximum cumulative grant per consortium is 1 million per consortium. And the following is just a bit of information on the eligible direct costs, which comprise personnel, subcontracting, and purchase costs, while indirect costs are eligible at a flat rate of 7% of total direct costs. All the eligible costs have to be actual and incurred during the pilot period and in compliance with the applicable regulations. All of this information, of course, is available already on the website, on the Call for Pilots manuals, which you can find on the website itself. When it comes to the eligibility requirements, of course, like I said, 2 local or regional authorities must be part of the consortium from 2 different eligible countries, which come from the let's say, the list of DEP program associated countries, as well as EU countries, and Norway, Iceland, and Liechtenstein. So this is where the applications must be coming from. And this also will need to be certified through a declaration and control form, which certifies the origin of the company or organization and or city that applies to the consortium, in the consortium. And lastly, perhaps here I would like to, in a second I will also hand over to my colleague who will give a bit more of a view on the requirements and recommendations. So essentially, perhaps I will already hand over to you, Laura, to give some introductions to this as well, and you can tell me when to change slides.
Yes, thank you, Laura. So I'm also Laura, but Laura Ryu from CEREMA, which is a different partner in the LDT4SSC consortium, and I will be presenting the key requirements and recommendations for the different work strands. So the purpose for these is to translate the general project objectives that were presented by Laura and Carl Philipp at the beginning of the presentation into more tangible expectations for pilots. And they're built with the aim of really having the pilots actually deliver the results we need to have to attain these goals. And it's important for pilots to meet these requirements upon application and at the end of their projects to be eligible and to be selected. And so during the evaluation process of the evaluation of the application, these requirements will be evaluated and scored with criteria like excellence, impact, quality, and efficiency of implementation. And it's this that will be used by the evaluation committee to rank application and select the awarded pilots. You can move on to the next slide. So where to find these requirements and recommendations? First of all, the Call for Pilots manual, which is the main document where you can find all the information. It's linked on the website. Sarah did share the direct link in the chat to the webpage where this document is downloadable. And there is a section called Description of Requirements and Recommendations for Pilots, where all of these are listed. So there is one manual per work strand and per call, so make sure to actually access the one for your work strand and for this third round of open calls. There is also a secondary source of information on these requirements, which is on the Knowledge Hub, where it's a more cheat sheet kind of presentation of the requirement. And yes, Sarah also shared the link to this in the chat, so you can access it. So if you have already accessed these documents, you might recognize the organization of these requirements. So they span 4 main dimensions, which are pilot details, relevance, implementation, and impact. And it's in those categories that the 20 to 30 requirements are listed. So the requirements are the mandatory ones, and some of them are part of the pass-fail eligibility check, whereas the recommendations are more are optional and are just there to maybe improve or improve your application. So pilot details are requirements on the administrative and technical information about the current state of your pilots. We ask information on the digital maturity, the use case, the current technical and functional architecture, as well as how you govern data in your organizations, and if any, the use of like advanced technologies. Then in the relevance categories, this is more about why the pilot matters and why you should be awarded. So how the project aligns with local and EU priorities and the project's general objectives. It's how you plan to manage and provide staff for the project, how you plan to involve end users into the process and the building and implementation of your projects, how the results can be transferred and reused in other local contexts or other cities and communities, and as well as what technical stack you will be using from the European ecosystem. So these two first categories, pilot details and relevance, are things that you have already defined or that are easily that we can evaluate upfront because it's kind of the current state, whereas the two next categories, it's more how you demonstrate in your work plan what you will be building during the project. And so the actual compliance with these requirements will have to be also evaluated at the end of the project. So for the implementation requirements, this is how the pilots will be delivered. It's how it's the main methodology for your work plan and different steps to implement the project, your technical approach, how you will describe data for it to be interoperable, and the use of the minimum interoperability mechanisms plus. And finally, the last dimension is impact, and this is the requirements on the expected results and long-term value of your pilot project. So the reasoning for actually co-designing an LDT or an interconnecting already existing one or adding AI services depending on the work strand. It's the benefits in different dimension, the legal framework, and so on. So as I was saying, each work strand has its own set of requirements and recommendations, and they also each have their own focus, objectives, and expected outputs. This has already been presented by Laura, but I thought it was important to present it again here. So the focus in the first work strand is into connecting already existing LDTs. These LDTs might already be in place, and so the objectives here will be to demonstrate the interoperability of the LDTs and through this interconnection, and actually being able to share services, data, and knowledge through this interconnection. And the end result would be an EU-level federation of LDTs. For the second work strand, the focus is on co-creating new LDTs and addressing shared local challenges that are shared across multiple cities and communities, and not only in the ones of the pilots. And so the objectives are to build these new LDTs and also share and replicate solutions through these. And in the end, the main output will be these new LDTs and the new services they will have built together. And for the third work strand, the aim here is to enhance existing LDTs and adding new advanced services that use AI to make LDTs ready for the next step in the Cityverse. And so the objectives are to build new services based on the AI and really be testing new technologies there. And the aim at the end is to have new services that can be shared and replicable and that can populate the different European marketplaces of services like the one of the LDT Toolbox. Yeah. Okay, so these are an example of requirements. These are the ones on the digital maturity open application. So for the first work strand, this is where let's say the ticket is the most expensive because the two local authorities part of the pilot consortium must already have local digital twins in place, and they must demonstrate that open application. Work strand 2 is where the bar is the lowest because there is no need to already have an LDT in place. And the third one is kind of the middle ground because one of the public authorities already needs to have an LDT. So depending on your current digital maturity, that opens the door to one or several of the work strands. Then regarding the use case, there's also a few differences. So the first work strand, you need to have two use cases, and they each have to have one service. A service in this context is a mean for public administration to support public activities and or help the decision-making process. Why two? This is to demonstrate the replicability and the actual interconnection, because doing it once is great, but doing it twice actually kind of helps this demonstration. Then for the two other work strands, it's almost the same requirements. It's on building, at least one use case with this time two services because the focus a bit more on services. And actually, sorry, this slide is not up to date. The work strand 3 is really, there's a focus on the innovative and citizen focused side, whereas work strand 2 is less. And then there's also differences in the requirements regarding the technical implementation, again, linked to the objectives of each work strand. For the first one, as the focus is on the interconnection, this is what pilots will have to demonstrate upon application in their work plan and at the end of the project also. So the interconnection using the simple data space governance authority agent, which is an element that's mandatory to use in this interconnection. For the two other work strands, they have to develop the new LDT, and each public authority must have its own implementation or access to its own LDT. And it's important that it has advanced capabilities, so it's able to simulate scenarios with predictive, prospective, or prescriptive capabilities. So these were only a first glance of the requirements, even though if it's the ones we deem the most important and central. You can find these again in the call for pilot manual, and upon application, you will be demonstrating like compliance with these requirements through your answers to questions in the applications form. Under each question is reminded what requirement is relevant for this question for reference. And during the project later on, it's through just submitting the reports and pilot deliverables that we will be able to evaluate that you have actually attained the goals you set. And I will let Laura present the eligibility criteria.
Right. So thanks a lot, Laura. I think this was quite clear, and I hope that you have an idea of how these requirements differ, but also might be very similar between different work strands. And like she said, this is all documented into the call manuals. And hopefully, this already gives you a bit of a snapshot of what to look for and an idea also of where you might already know where to fit and where to apply for any of these work strands. So, in summary, this is just a little bit of an overview of the, let's say, more general, but also more specific criteria for application and how they will be demonstrated. On a more general side, the required documents and ownership and control declarations have to be submitted in the right format and on time in English. And this should be demonstrated through the following documents. And these are all documents that you can also find on the website: the application form, the financial form, the letters of commitment, as well as the ethics and data protection self-assessment. Obviously, as well, please be sure to respect the page and word limit of the proposal template and within, of course, the character limits. When it comes to the legal aspects, this is more about the consortium formation. Please make sure that the consortium does consist of at least 2 local or regional public administrations from 2 different eligible countries, together with at least 1 additional partner that is drawn from the following categories, as I explained earlier. So private entity, a private association, a trusted third party, and a private representative of a use case sector, any one of the above. Through the application form and the letters of commitment, you can demonstrate this. And in terms of the financial aspects, please demonstrate that the pilot covers at least 50% of the pilot budget as co-financing, and also that the support requested is not higher than €1 million per consortium, and that it is not higher than €500,000 per third party across the pilots. When it comes to the technical and non-technical, of course, this has been already quite well explained by Laura. So, and also later we will go in depth about some of the recommendations for how to set up your application. The pilots, of course, have to display this degree of digital maturity. They have to demonstrate it clearly. And especially when it comes to Workstrand 1, the level of digital maturity for a local digital twin needs to be clearly explained and backed up by evidence. And of course, it varies across the objectives and the targets of each work strand. And when it comes to the ethical aspects, the ethics and data protection self-assessment will demonstrate how these certain, let's say, ethical aspects will be respected, as of course, with great data comes great responsibility. So this is a little bit the final aspect on eligibility criteria. And just as a following, let's say, part, now Adriana, our colleague as well from the consortium, will go through a bit of a couple of tips and tricks, let's say, for preparing the proposal and yeah, how some of what we're looking for as well when it comes to the actual descriptions of your project in the application form and so on. So I give the floor to Adriana. Thank you.
Hello, thank you, Laura. My name is Adriana Badeau from Technopolis, Belgium. In this part of our session today, I will go through some practical aspects for preparing a good proposals. These are recommendations extracted from Call 1 and Call 2 evaluations that we think you might find useful and helpful in submitting a good proposal. I will start by stating the idea, which just one idea, which will be illustrated in the next minutes. And it's that the successful proposal would not only describe a good idea for a pilot, but just clearly show that a pilot is needed by the cities, it is useful in practice, it is technically feasible, measurable, but also reusable by others and sustainable after the pilot. Throughout the next slides, I will focus on how to make the proposal clear, concrete, and easy to assess. And we'll start with the need. As mentioned before, an interesting concept is good to have, but a strong proposal should start from a real city need. This means explaining what challenge the cities face, why it matters now, who is affected, what is currently missing, and how the pilot will improve the situation. The point is not just to say that the topic is important, for example, climate resilience or energy efficiency. The proposal should explain the concrete problem in the local context. On the next slide, there's an example, a generic one that says the pilot will improve city resilience, which is a little too generic. It doesn't say much, and it will not score very high in the evaluation. The stronger example specifies the user, the civil protection teams, the current problem, fragmented data, and the pilot solution, combining these sources into a flood risk service. And the practical improvement, identifying high-risk areas 24 hours before expected heavy rainfall. This immediately makes the need, the user and the expected improvement clearer and accessible. The next point in the next slide is to make the use case operational. A good use case should show who uses the service and which decisions it supports. Applicants should explain who the users are, when they use the service, what data they see, what decision they make, and how this improves current practice. This is important because the use case should not only be a technical description, it should show how the tool will be embedded in real municipal workflow. For example, in the next slide, you will see the dashboard will support better planning, which is understandable, but it is vague. A stronger example specifies who uses the service, urban planners, when they use it during zoning reviews, the functionality comparing 3 land use scenarios, and which evidence informs the decision, which is flood exposure, exposed population, infrastructure vulnerability, and what decision is made differently, selecting preferred planning option. This makes the decision support function much more concrete. Another important point up next is referring to federation. Thank you. As you know, the project is about cross-city pilots, therefore it is important to explain what is actually shared or federated. A strong cross-city pilot should show a meaningful connection between the city instances. It should not simply be the same system deployed locally in 2 places. Deploying the same tool into cities may support replication, but it does not automatically demonstrate federation. Applicants should explain what is shared, what remains local, how the exchange happens. And most importantly, they should explain why this is better than 2 separate local pilots. In the next example, the same platform will be deployed in both cities is not sufficient. The stronger example specifies local autonomy. Each city keeps its own LDT instance and local data, the shared output, harmonized risk indicators, and the federation mechanism, publication through a federated catalog. And of course, reuse, the cross-city value created, the reuse of common alerting service. On the technical side up next, a strong technical proposal is not necessarily the one with most tools. It is the one that explains clearly how the tools work together. Applicants should explain what already exists, what will be built, how data flows through the system, which standards are used, and why, how the city systems connect, and what the final service will look like. This is important when many standards and technical components are mentioned. The proposal should not look like a list of these tools, but really show how the role in the actual architecture example would be, as it's shown in the next slide, that the architecture will use NGSILD, DCAT, AP, next slide. Explaining how success will be measured. This is quite important. A credible pilot should define what success looks like. Applicants should include the baseline situation, target values, measurement methods, validation activities, responsible partners, and timing. This is important because qualitative benefits such as improved resilience, better planning, or increased preparedness are not enough unless the proposal explains how these improvements will be measured. For example, in the next slide, the service will improve emergency preparedness. It's a general statement, more stronger one, specify the measurable target, 24 hours, and the validation activity to civil protection exercises. The key point to make here is to move from a broad ambition, planning for use and openness. A successful pilot should produce results that other cities and the wider LDT ecosystem can access, understand, adapt, and reuse. You should be able to explain which assets will be usable, how they will be published, what documentation will be provided, and what another city will need to adopt. They should also be clear about, and this is very important, which element, if any, remain proprietary. Where proprietary platforms are used, the proposal should explain what vendor-agnostic replication or migration path will be provided. And you will see in the next slide an example of a statement saying outputs will be as open as possible, which is not very informative. The stronger example specifies what is open, sensor data, how access is enabled through public APIs documented via with the OpenAPI specification and other which reuse condition. The idea is that reuse is not only about publishing something, it is about making it understandable and adoptable. Planning for continuity is also important. As you can see in the next slide, a good pilot should also be designed for life after the project. Applicants should explain who will operate the service after the pilot, who will pay for hosting and maintenance, what staff will be needed, and whether municipal budgets or procurement have been identified. Who maintains shared or open source assets, how other cities can join or replicate the solution. The example in the next slide is the statement saying the municipality intends to continue using the platform, which is positive but not sufficient. A strong explanation will provide more information specifying, for example, the future operator, which is the municipal IT department, the cost item, the funding route, and the general arrangement, the post-pilot support agreement with the technical part. And this makes continuity credible. Just arriving at the end of the recommendation, just reminding you to do a quick internal eligibility check just before the submission. It would be a shame to put a lot of effort into a very good proposal, which turns out to be non-eligible. We strongly recommend a pre-submission completeness and eligibility check. To do so, you could use the eligibility check grid included in the call for pilot manuals. Then you should also make sure you have used the right templates and forms from the current call. It is very important. You might have downloaded the forms from call 1 or call 2. We're now at call 3. Some templates updates have been made. So make sure you've downloaded the newest ones. Make sure all required annexes and supporting documents are included and they are signed if it is required, which is the case for the ownership and control declaration, the letters of commitment, the letters of intent. Very important also to keep the form structure unchanged. I'm referring to the budget tables in the application form. For instance, use it consistently and for all the members of the pilot consortium. The pivot tables and the cost category labels in the financial form. Make sure nothing is changed there, and especially the formulas. And make sure that the costs included are eligible. One important aspect is, for instance, for equipment, the only eligible cost is depreciation over the pilot duration, not the full purchase price. This is very important. Just 3 ideas to take away from this this presentation. Support claims with evidence. I think it is probably clear by now how important it is to make sure all the claims made in the application are supported by evidence. So avoid leaving the reader to deduct the logic, and always provide concrete information for qualitative statements made in the application, whether it is facts, figures, baseline targets, workflows, methods. And second, make the pilot logic clear. The proposal should show the link between the city need, the objective, the use case, the federated approach, the technical feasibility, and the expected impact. The different sections of the application form should tell the same story. The use case, the architecture, the KPIs, the work plan, the budget should all connect to each other. And third idea, the pilot legacy, which should be planned from the beginning. The third idea, replicability and continuity concern post-pilot phase, but they should not be treated as an afterthought. You should already plan and be able to explain what other cities can reuse, how they can adopt this, and how the service will continue after the funding ends. This is important because the pilot should not only deliver a local result during the project, it should also contribute something useful to the wider LDT ecosystem. Thank you very much. I think, yeah, this information will be available also on the website after the
Yes, so indeed, all these recommendations and tips for applying will be made available also on the slide on the website, and yeah, as a useful guide, because indeed these are key to applying, and just by fulfilling all of these, you've already gone above and beyond when it comes to your chances for success. So thanks a lot for presenting this. And before we go into the Q&As, as we still have, let's say, some time for that, I'm going to give the floor to Sara Sebastiano, who will also give you an overview of the support that you can get throughout the process of application.
Thanks, Laura. So I will try to be quick on this so that we have some more time for the questions. We can move to the next slide. So first of all, the first tool I would like to introduce is the help desk, because through the help desk you can contact us, so the LDT4SSC project team. I will share the link in the chat so that you can have it here. Then in this section we have both an FAQ, so there are some frequently asked questions that we have gathered already during the first 2 rounds of open calls, and you can write your message, send it via the contact form, and it will be redirected to the specific experts within the projects, and we will try to give you an answer usually within 2 working days. So if you have any questions, you can send the message directly using the contact form available on the website. And next slide, please. The other tool is the matchmaking platform. I have shared the link in the chat already. And the matchmaking platform can be useful to find partners for your pilot project proposal. On the platform, you can present your organization, so your expertise and assets, and you can find both public authorities, so cities, regions, SMEs, research organizations, NGOs, and tech providers. You can also create or join consortium proposals, and you will be able to plan meetings with the other stakeholders registered on the platform. So it can be a very useful tool if you are planning to submit your application for this 3rd round of open calls. Next slide, please. And in this regards, we are also organizing a matchmaking event, which will take place on the 11th of June from 10:30 until 12:30. I will share with you the link to register in the chat, and you can also scan the QR code that is here on the slide, and it will redirect you to the registration form. During this matchmaking event, there will be also the opportunity to present your pilot project idea. We are only accepting, due to time limitations, a maximum of 10 pitches, so it's just on a first come, first served basis. So if you are interested in giving a pitch, perhaps it would be good to register as soon as possible. Next slide, please. So the last point would be on the resources for pilots available on the Knowledge Hub, because to support applicants and funded pilots, as it was mentioned before, also by Laura, we have a dedicated Knowledge Hub in which you can find both technical and non-technical resources. So I will share the link for this one as well. And not only the resources, but here there is also some guidance available for the pilots, as we have seen before, and the application documents and so on, which are available as well on the website. Then we can move to the last slide, in which you can find just a few more ways by which you can get in touch with us. We have the LDT4SSC newsletter if you are interested to subscribe and to stay updated. Then we have our website, which has been shared before, and we are also available on LinkedIn. Again, as already mentioned, if you have any questions, you can use our help desk, and all the questions will be redirected to our project mailbox, and we will try to answer them as soon as possible. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I think we have reached the end of the webinar, and we have 10 minutes for some questions. So I know that this is quite a bit of information, but this is perhaps your chance, if you have anything at all that you'd like to clarify, to please feel free to raise your hand or to jump in, and our team is here to answer your questions. I'm gonna try and find a way to stop sharing my screen in the meantime. Which I don't know how to do. I don't know if there is any questions in the chat, as I can't really read them from my screen.
Not yet for now. Yes,
Okay.
if we have any, I will read them.
Of course. I guess it has been very clear. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
there was just this comment.
that's high praise. So, yes, thank you, Ines, for your question. To make sure I understand, the grant per consortium is 1 million, which means that the project budget maximum is 2 million. Correct. Indeed. So you need to demonstrate in your form, in your application, that your total budget for the pilot is 2 million, and that that what you're requesting does not exceed 1 million euros. So indeed, the rest of the costs need to be placed by the consortium. And the way that the costs, also maybe to add, the way that this the 50% that needs to be put in by the consortium, it does not necessarily mean that every consortium partner needs to exactly go 50% of that, let's say 50%. It's just in total, you need to demonstrate that the total overall costs are 50% of the overall budget. So this is a little bit of the clarification. Thank you for your question.
Yeah, related to this, I have one question. Let's say consortia has 3 members, right? So 1 million will get shared among 3 members, or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, indeed. So it's like, for example, I mean, in general, yeah, the 50% needs to be demonstrated overall. It doesn't mean that necessarily every partner has to neatly be at 50% each. You know what I mean? It's just in total, yes.
Thank you.
Of course. All right. Just maybe one more minute in case someone would like to come in. It's okay to still process a little bit. It is quite heavy. And indeed, yes. Also, special thanks to Essen from Ubitech for her presented the pilot from Call One. I think it's been a very interesting and illustrative example of a successful application from the first call. So I hope that this has also given you a little bit of yeah, starting points to think about together with potential consortia for applying again.
Thank you for this opportunity and thank you for the listening. Thank you.
Okay, I think we can close it here, perhaps. Of course, as Sarah said, there are multiple ways to get in touch, and you can definitely, and we will make sure to answer all your questions. And yeah, for anything, feel free to get in touch. So thank you all very much, and we look forward to your applications.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Bye-bye.